Hey guys, this is why. Because I said so. I found something interesting today. Just wanted to try and get a little more accurate timeline of human history, and I did some searches and I found it very interesting, and I'm going to start with this one because, well, it just gives some insight into how the tech giants have pretty much taken over everything that we see. So first search result is the Wikipedia, of course. So I found it interesting that going in here, we read Noah's Ark is the vessel in the Genesis flood narrative through which God spares Noah, his family, and examples of all the world's animals from a world-ending flood. So that's interesting because when I use my phone to search for it, it says myth. Let's see if they've changed it since this morning. If I go to my phone and search under Google, which is what I just did, this must be one of those glitches that they talk about. When was Noah's flood?
According to Wikipedia, many attempts have been made to place this time span at a specific date in history. At the turn of the 17th century CE, Joseph Scaliger placed creation at 3950 BCE, Petavius calculated 3982 BCE, and according to James Ussher's chronology, creation took place in 4004 BCE, dating the Great Deluge to 2348 BCE.
Okay, so that's what. Who is this? Cortana? Is that who does? Anyway, better be careful. Anyway, Genesis flood narrative, Wikipedia. The Genesis flood narrative is a flood myth found in the Tanakh, chapters 6 to 9 in the book of Genesis. The story tells of God's decision to return the earth to its pre-creation state of watery chaos and then remake it in a reversal of creation. The narrative has very strong similarities to parts of the Epic of Gilgamesh, which predates the book of Genesis. A global flood, as described in this myth, is inconsistent with the physical findings of geology and paleontology. Interesting. A branch of creationism known as flood geology is a pseudo-scientific attempt to argue that such a global flood actually occurred. So that's what you get when you do a search using Google on an Android phone. First result, it's a big myth. It's interesting though, however, when you go down just a little bit, you get all the people also ask questions here. And then again, you get another link to Wikipedia for the same thing. And then you go down a little bit further and you have, let's see here. So I'm just going to see if this actually lines up. See, this is interesting. So Genesis flood narrative, Wikipedia. Yep, this is what my phone looks like. It's just interesting that when I click on the flood narrative, that on the computer, oh, there it is. The Genesis flood narrative is a flood myth. Okay, so they're calling it a myth. Let's just, for the sake of it, look up what myth means, because I think I know what it means, but maybe it doesn't mean what we think it means. So we'll use is this dictionary.com? Yep, I think that's the one that's up here. So anyway, myth. Well, here we go. A traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of people or explaining some natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events. Okay, So I guess, I can go along with that. Wow, Google Assistant just...
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Shocker. Okay, we're gonna put my phone someplace else for the time being. That was interesting. So myth, again. Oh, a widely held but false belief or idea, a misrepresentation of the truth. So they're calling the flood of Noah a myth, which is not true per what they're telling us. However, you go down 1, 2, 3 links, and abcnews.go.com has new evidence. Evidence of Noah's biblical flood happened, says Robert Ballard. Who's Robert Ballard? Oh, he's interviewed by Christiane Amanpour of ABC News. So that's pretty mainstream, I'd say. World's best known underwater archaeologist talked about his findings. His team is probing the depths of the Black Sea off the coast of Turkey in search of traces of an ancient civilization hidden underwater since the time of Noah. Ballard's track record for finding the impossible is well known. In 1985, robotic submersible, Ballard and his crew hunted down the world's most famous shipwreck, the Titanic. So the guy's got a little bit of credibility, I'd say. A little, maybe. Using more advanced robotic technology to travel farther back in time, marine archaeological mission that might support this story of Noah. He said some 12,000 years ago, much of the world was covered in ice. Not inconsistent with what supposedly has happened or they've talked about. So you can go to read. I'm not going to read through the article like so many people do. The point is, this guy has got obviously some credibility, and now he's saying that, in the early chapters of Genesis, people live 800 years, 700 years, 900 years, says Rabbi Bert Vysotsky, a professor of Talmud and rabbinics at the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York. Those are mythic numbers. Those are way too big. We don't quite know what to do with that. Sometimes those large numbers, I think, also serve to reinforce the mystery of the text. So what they're saying, I need to read through this whole thing because it sounds fascinating. But my point is that we have what Google and Wikipedia tell us about the flood being a myth, and within 3 links, we have mainstream media evidence saying that it's true. Now, I believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God. I'll just go with that. And I believe that the flood actually happened. Now, there is debate about what that actually looked like. I'm not going to get into this right now. Point being, again, reinforcing the fact that we are being controlled by big tech. And this is only one of so many examples recently that show this to be true. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.